What's up? Tonight is another broadcast talking about reinvented, but specifically tonight we are discussing how do you walk out your purpose with courage and confidence. We will be talking about this more after this. But before after this, let me just share something with you. So, walking out your purpose is showing up courageously, consistently. And we're going to dig more into that in just a few moments. Don't you like that? I love that. I love that little beat, that little funky music. Listen, we are talking about how to show up for your purpose, how to walk out your purpose with courage and confidence. I am your host, Lynn George, Chief Meaningful Work Officer. Okay, coach, speaker, and trainer here to help purpose driven women reinvent themselves for the work that they are made for by helping them leverage their expertise, connect with their personal brand, and own their inner brilliance. So last week, we had a guest speaker, Dr. Iana Harris, and it was just such a juicy discussion. And there were so many nuggets being dropped in that episode. So much so that I wanted to reiterate them because they teach us, they inform us how to work out our purpose with courage and confidence. So you might want to know, well, why talk about how to work out your purpose with courage and confidence? Because when you decide that you're going to go after your purpose, and let me just set that, put a pin there for a minute. Purpose in this conversation is about the work that you feel called to, the work that you feel drawn to. I'm talking about your career, not just the career that you went to school to learn, but the one you've been called to. Okay, I want to be clear. There are many purposes, right? I, as a daughter in this season, I am a caretaker, right? That is my purpose to my mom in this season. But that's not what we're talking about. I'm specifically talking about the purpose that you've been called to do, the work that you've been called to do. All right. The work that you've been made for. So the reason it's important is because when we decide to step outside of something, of an area that we're not used to operating in, we're not used to functioning in, then it becomes uncomfortable for us. And we are creatures of habit. Okay. So for us, when your purpose requires you to have courage and confidence, I can't help but to think about the story of Joshua when when it was time for him to step up in leadership. See, when you decide to step up in your purpose and to walk it out, you are stepping into leadership. You are stepping in, you are saying, yes, I want to make a greater impact. Yes, I've been called to empower others. And yes, I'm going to show up for it. And I can't help but in that story to recognize that three times, God told Joshua to be strong and courageous. So it is important to touch on helping you to walk out your purpose with courage and confidence, because there are things in the season that you decide to walk out in your purpose. There are things to pop up, to discourage you, to come against you. And a lot of those things are internal blocks. Sometimes they're people. Sometimes they're family because they think you're crazy. What are you doing? Nobody ever done that before. What are you doing? Okay. So it's important to talk about the courage to walk out your purpose and confidence. So again, last week we talked with Dr. Iana Harris, and one of the nuggets that she dropped was about identity. So part of us building up our courage or our confidence to walk out in our purpose and show up for it courageously is to understand who we are. How do you understand who we are? There's this concept called self-awareness. And I want to help you recognize what self-awareness is. The importance of self-awareness plays in recognizing what no longer serve your brilliant self. It no longer so what no longer serve you. Being aware of your ability to accurately perceive your skills, knowledge, values, and responsibilities. It is being confident in what you have to offer. Being confident in what you have to offer, whether it is personally or professionally. So self-awareness, it behooves us, it behooves you to become more aware of the internal blocks that keeps you from knowing you on a deeper level. It behooves you to understand those internal blocks that keeps you from moving forward. I remember when I first started out my journey in becoming a coach, and in my coaching training, they were talking about the coach, the facilitator was talking about saboteurs, and I had never heard of the term. And of course she went through it. She told us what it was, and I understood it. But when I got home later that evening, I went and dug deeper, and I found that saboteurs are internal blocks. They show up if you are not aware. There's that word aware. If you're not aware of what shows up when you get ready to go outside of your comfort zone, then you will be defeated each and every time that you try to step outside of your comfort zone to do something different, to do something no one else in your family has ever done, to do the work that you know you were made for. Okay, so that's identity, and that's becoming more aware of those internal blocks, understanding what that is. And then the second thing we talked about was belief. What do you believe? Who do you believe that you are? I keep going every time I think about or reflect on this point. I can't help but to think about the book by Napoleon Hill, written by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about a young man that was determined to work with Thomas Edison. I forget there was an initial there, but anyway. So he had a definiteness of purpose to work with Thomas Edison. And when you read that portion, when you read about this young man and his determination to work with Thomas Edison, what came to mind for me was a conviction about who he was. See, the problem with many of us is that we don't have a conviction about who we are, because our conviction plays a role in our confidence, in building up the courage to step up, to do something outside of our comfort zone. So who do you believe that you are? All right. So you have identity. You have, oh, I forget I wrote these notes. You have identity and you have confidence. And then the third point is branding your purpose. I created a post today, and it was about just that, branding your purpose, running your mouth about who you are. When you understand, when you become aware about who you are, and there's a conviction there about who you are, then you need to run your mouth about who you are, right? Not shrink back from it, but talk about who you are. When I think about this point, I think about how I ended up in a role that I wasn't even looking for, just because I was running my mouth about what I wanted to do. And out of that discussion came a referral. Actually, it came a job lead. I applied for the job, ended up being at that job for almost 7 years. And let me tell you, it was simply, that job lead was newly created, and it was the result of me running my mouth, talking about who I am, what I do, what I desire to do. I was branding myself then. And I'm going to talk more about branding, but in this episode, understand in this broadcast that branding your purpose is simply talking about who you are. What do you do? What do you stand for? Who are the people that you help? Okay. So again, I wanted to reiterate those points because there were so many gems that was dropped on last week. And I want to go over them. Identity, understanding, being aware of who you are, right? What no longer serve you, right? Both personally and professionally. Understand what you need to learn and unlearn. It's a process. And then belief, conviction. What do you believe about who you are? I want to say to that point again that I can just look back over my own life. And I remember when I got started in this work over 17 years ago, I was a student at the University of Florida, and it was time for me to graduate. And I had no idea, initially what I wanted to do as an internship in order for me to graduate. But I did have a desire to work with single mothers, because at the time I was working with single mothers. I was a welfare recipient myself. And so I wanted to work with the welfare transition program. And that's what I did. I went after just that. And let me tell you, it's been a journey, it's been a ride, but it is that decision that has brought me to this point of where I am today. So, who do you believe that you are? Right? And with that point, I remember when I started the internship. This is the point I wanted to make originally. When I started that internship, I remember having an interview or interviewing my first client for benefits. And, there was a moment I was typing or writing or something. And she asked me, she said, "Are you the manager?" And I chuckled and I said, "No, I am not. I'm a student at the University of Florida. This is an internship for me." And she was like, I'll never forget her response. She said, "Oh my goodness. I saw you in the orientation. I've been seeing you walk around here like you act like you're the manager. The way you just carry yourself." And I remember, and I wrote that down that night in my journal because it was so significant to me, because I did believe that I was the manager. What is my point? When you have a conviction about who you are, you start acting like it. So that's why belief and conviction is important. It's an important aspect of you for you to walk out. It's an important aspect for you to develop and hone so that you can walk out your purpose with courage and confidence. It first starts here. If you don't believe who you are, how else are you going to do what I'm here to help you do? So that's belief. And then branding your purpose. Run your mouth. I hope you have found something helpful in this episode to help you walk out your purpose with courage and confidence. Next week, there will not be no broadcast because of the holidays. However, I am wishing you and your family the best. I'm praying that you all stay safe until next time. Be well.